everybody, and welcome to 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got an awesome guest for you guys. Jason Zlatkus is here. How you doing, Jason?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jonathan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Yeah,
you having me on the show.
yeah, no problem. Very, very happy you're here. So first of all, you had no idea. Well, I mean, I asked you to review a movie, which I guess I'm not sure if you were expecting that at all, like ever, to be a guest reviewer, but thank you for coming on anyway.
Yeah, I love the show. I've seen other people do it, and definitely want to be on it. I was like, well, what do I know about movies? But I was definitely excited to be asked. I mean, as an actor, I guess I know something, but um, you know, I, uh, I I'm just happy to be asked. How about that?
Well, I mean, in defense of everything, like there are, anybody can technically be a critic. I mean, like if you really want to be like a real critic, like viewed as like somebody like Siskel and Ebert or something, you probably need to go to journalism school and take classes on that shit. But if you want to be an internet critic, anybody can be one. So with that being said, I always ask like anybody right now. We've got 31 days. I'm trying to get 31 people. It's gonna be freaking nuts. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. And this particular movie, you asked me earlier before the movie started, why did I pick this movie? And I think that's a good question. Like why would somebody pick Super Hybrid out of all things that they could review? Um, you know, and my answer to that was basically that I was looking on Tubi. I tried to find something that's different than the ones that I've already been doing. And I thought, well, killer car movie. We haven't done that yet. And on top of that, like that's a subgenre of horror now, is killer cars. It started with Christine. No, I think it started with Duel. It could have been started with Duel or Christine. I'm not sure. But one of
Man,
those.
Duel is fantastic. Yeah.
Duel is
Mhm.
fantastic. Christine
One
is
of the best movies
fantastic.
ever. Mhm.
Joyride is fantastic. I always love. There's other ones. There's like a movie called The Car. There's one called something Trucks, or whatever. Like there's a
Yeah.
ton of these different movies. And so when I saw like it was a killer car movie, my automatic thought is Christine, because one that's like it takes over. And this was very, I think we talked about it before. This is very Christine. This was trying so hard to be that way, right? Don't you think?
Well, the idea that the car itself is possessed, I think, is a Christine thing. A lot of the other ones, like Duel, we understand there's someone probably driving it. In Jeepers Creepers, they do that whole car thing, very Duel inspired. They even bought a special car to make it look more menacing for the film. It looks like a train, and we understand there's someone driving it. So I think the idea in a lot of the movies is we understand like even in Joyride, there's someone driving the car. We don't know who they are.
Mhm.
But as far as Christine goes, as far as Super Hybrid goes, the car itself is like possessed.
Mhm.
And in Super Hybrid, we learn throughout the film. I don't know. Are we allowed to give spoilers on your show?
Yes, please do.
Okay. We learn that there's a creature who has sort of mimic cars as one of the evolutions of this sort of creature's development, which is the idea. So I think that idea is pretty cool. I think it hasn't been overdone. Like I said, I think because cars as the menace has been done a lot. Even in that Death Proof, the car itself is sort of the star of the film. Tarantino's Death Proof for the Grindhouse movie. Even though Kurt Russell's driving it or whatever, the car is really what people care about. And I think that's what this movie tries to go for. The car is supposed to be the star of the film. And in this movie, there isn't one car, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because Christine is one car, and all these other movies are one car, but this one is many cars.
Well, I mean, obviously it goes to the whole point of Super Hybrid. So, and I like that. I also, we could talk about how basically it's not even it's not even a normal car at all, right? It's like a creature, which All right. I'll say this right now. I did not like one of the things I didn't like is the explanation of the creature, because it's like there has to be that one character who knows what's going on, or what's the thing, or whatever. And I didn't buy that this guy just knew, oh, I learned from my biology class that there was this creature that, and I'm like, you're gonna get that from a car, like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Okay,
don't.
so okay, so you remember in Mimic they the bug, it develops and it becomes it looks like a predator, and the predator is person, and so the bug mimics a person even though it isn't one. And I think that was sort of how I looked at it, was like, okay, they're going with a mimic vibe, but I hear what you're saying. That kid sort of pulls it out of thin air, and I was like, oh my god, that's what they're saying it is, but
Right. I
but
mean,
I sort of gave it a mimic like free pass, like, okay, maybe
I
that
mean,
was too much for it.
maybe, but like in the same sense, I mean, I agree. It's very mimicky. That wasn't supposed to be like a pun or anything, but
Mimicky. It was mimicky of mimic. Yeah, it was mimicky
yes,
mimic,
it
right?
was mimicking mimic, but it wasn't that. I mean, I don't know. I just like it. If you didn't know what it was, I think that would have been cooler. You know, like if you
Mm-hmm.
just saw that this thing like existed, because like it looked cool. They opened up the trunk and you saw the creature, and you're like, okay, that's
Yeah.
badass. My first thought in my brain was, oh wow, it's like an alien, like extraterrestrial type thing. You know,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it's a sea creature that actually does exist, or something like that, or whatever. I don't think it
Okay, so they opened it up and then they show it, and I thought, is it a bunch of eels? Like, it looks really like, tentacly or slimy in there, and it's CGI over the engine or where the engine block, I guess, was supposed to be. But I saw a kids movie that was like just like that. It was called Monster Truck, and it was like this like creature that lived in the engine block.
Mhm.
Like, so I'm saying to myself, I have to go, well, I have to separate it from that kids movie. Well, I'm giving it I'm going, okay, it's like mimic, that's cool, but it's like this kids movie that's not cool when you see the
It's
like creature lives in the engine block.
So there's a lot of like there's just a lot of things that kind of mimics itself as, or whatever. Like
Right.
it just kind of takes from different things. And maybe that's, once again, that's good because it's called super hybrid, So maybe even the movie itself is a super hybrid,
Okay, I could go for that. I could
right?
say
Like I
that's
could
legit,
say
sure.
that maybe, because
Yeah.
like you're giving it a pass because of the mimic thing. I'm just, I'm letting it go because, honestly, it was sort of enjoyable enough where I wanted to keep watching. I wanted to know what was going to go on, but like, is this like a movie I'd want to watch over and over again? Probably not, like,
Yeah,
honestly.
or ever again. I mean, like, and again, like, I tried to watch it with an open mind, and it was not the worst thing I'd ever seen. Honestly, it was not the worst thing I'd ever seen. But it definitely is not a movie I would like recommend. If I had to, oh, you got to go see. No, that's not what I would recommend. And I hate to say that to anybody because people work hard on their films.
Oh
So
yeah.
as an actor, let me just say that I recommend everyone's work. So I think, but if but it's not high on my list to watch it again.
Right. But then again, I am glad I saw it, so I do recommend seeing it if
Okay.
you're, especially on Tubi, checking it out, and judging for yourself. But honestly, like you said, I definitely wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't plan to see it again. That's the,
And that's fair. As for being on Tubi, it was actually really good. It seemed really high production value. One of the things I liked about it was the production value seemed really high.
mhm.
And I appreciate indie films that have a high production value. I thought the acting was pretty good. There wasn't a point where I thought, oh man, that was, other than like some of the writing, like you said, and really that's trying to explain the character. I didn't think it was the worst movie I'd ever seen.
Well, and we're gonna get into the cast, but I believe You told me that you liked one of the actors that was in the movie, right? If I'm correct. Did
I
you
don't.
say
Maybe I did. I don't remember
were
now.
you familiar with Oded Fehr? I guess
Yeah.
is
Oh,
his
Dead
name.
Fair. That's right. I did talk to you about him. That's right.
Yes, we
Yeah.
had this
So
discussion. Okay, whew, I was glad it
right.
was.
Okay. So you know what? Yeah. You know what? Okay. So for that fact too, I forgot already that he was in it because you told me like 2 weeks ago I had to watch the movie, and then I thought I watched it, and then I forgot. So here we are.
Yeah,
But uh, like I should have brushed up. I feel like so. Oded
me
Fair.
too.
I love him for the other films that I've seen him in, like The Mummy. And Resident Evil. He's the in the second Resident Evil, he plays one of the Raccoon City guards, and the guy is fantastic. He's always like super authoritative, super dominating. But in Super Hybrid, he wasn't those things, and I feel like I don't know if it was him in this role or if it was the writing
It was
for
the
him.
writing. It was absolutely 100% the writing because if you can tell, his character is not very leader-like at all. And I
Right.
think that was sort of what they wanted to go with the writing, because they wanted him to be the who you think was the leader or whatever, but yet, have the main girl take over and become the leader. There's even one line where she was like, "Okay, you can be the leader," is you could still be the leader if you want, that kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
I honestly just didn't like his character that much because I just felt his character was way too stupid. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, he wanted to cash in on this, on this thing and make millions of dollars discovering this new, basically this new species. Yet we find out later there's a million of them. Once again,
Right.
spoilers, but there's, like it. I don't know. I think his character was just sort of maybe one of the best characters because he's probably one of the most memorable, but he's also one of the worst characters because he's just sort of annoying and he kind of gets in the way of everything. And that is the point, that was the point to his character, kind of get in the way of things, cause problems, people die because of him, and yet he's supposed to be the leader, so, that's those are my opinions on it. But with that being said, I did like some of the characters, and then some of the rest I can care like about them at all. Either way, whether they lived or died, I couldn't care. But I did like the girls in this. I thought, what's her name? The main girl. I'm really bad with names. I guess Marie was the other girl, right? Fuck. Tilda was the main girl, right? And that was played by Shannon Beckner. And
Okay.
do you remember? Like she was the main girl in it, and she was like the main worker, and she had a boyfriend who was a boyfriend or husband. It wasn't a husband. It was like a boyfriend, right? Like that she wanted to get the car for.
Oh, was that what? Yes, that's right. It was. It was supposed to be his like dream ride or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought the movie was going to go a different way. I thought that she was going to give him the car, and because he's sort of a scumbag, so I thought they were going to give him the car, and the car was going to like take over in this whole big thing. But the car never leaves the garage. The whole movie is shot in that like parking garage. So that actually, I was like, what is the point of that aspect? Just to get her into the story, I suppose.
Well, at the end, he comes and she says, "Your car is ready," and it got like
right.
destroyed or whatever throughout the whole thing. So which really pissed me off.
I guess that was the tie-in joke, right?
Which really pissed me off too is like, why did he go all the way over? Like, I guess he had to like Uber or catch a taxi or whatever over there to the shop just to find out, and the whole thing about her like actually like being afraid of cars in a way, or not liking cars. I'm like, why do you work in an auto shop if you don't like cars?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's like a tow dispatch or something. Yeah, it's like it's like a tow truck company.
Yeah.
That right.
Yeah, and they like repair the cars or whatever. I think.
I liked when they tried to catch the thing, when they tried to catch it. I thought that was pretty cool that they built like a trap to try to catch it. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, yeah, they had some cool moments to it. But overall, I think it was, like we said before, it's kind of one of those movies where you can watch once and you're okay, and you don't
Yeah,
need to ever watch again. Um, I would if I
I,
like saw this at the Dollar Tree, I'd buy it, but
sure. You
that's
know,
it.
I hope no one ever says that about my movies.
I mean, the Dollar
It's
Tree
gonna
has some good
happen.
movies sometimes, actually.
That's true too. Sometimes they have big hits,
Oh, you never
but
know.
you know, I think that the boyfriend, the guy who shows up, and I wonder how many days on set that guy had. Like, did that guy shoot both of his scenes in one day, or did they
Probably,
call him back? Well, if they were at a house one day and they were at a car garage on a different day,
and
they might have had him on 2 days.
but it was night, so I guarantee you they shot that day, then had him come that night, and then they're like, "You're done."
They had him. They had him on one day. Yeah,
Yeah.
they might have. Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Like as actors and filmmakers and everything, we think that way actually. Because I kind of wondered that too when I was watching it. It's like, wait, so he's really only in it for like maybe 5 minutes of the movie, and he's in the beginning of the movie, and then he's at the end of the movie where he just pops
Right.
back in. So I'm like, oh, some of these. But see, that's the other thing with indie filmmaking is like there's the everything took place in the parking garage because they don't have a lot of money to go have it on the streets, that they'd have to shut down the streets of certain places in order to film it. I mean, they did for that really cool like beginning move, explosion, like an explosion, but wreck, car wreck
Yeah.
they had in the movie.
So
I
they
mean,
spent a bunch of money on car wrecks, which I thought was pretty interesting. They look like they did a lot of car damage, and I think that's why the creature has to transform so many times, is because they couldn't afford to keep wrecking the same type of car. So they would wreck these different cars, like who in production has a car this week, and they would wreck it, and they go, "Yeah, that's the monster." Like that's how it felt, like, oh wait, we have a white Ford. Well, that's the monster,
that is
and
funny. I never thought about that. That's probably why they wrecked it.
because they kept crashing the car and they couldn't afford it because they really did those crashes. That was legit. I could tell that wasn't like that was a practical effect, which I really liked. But then I thought, man, that's why the monster had to change into a different car. And the other thing too is I noticed it was never actually a hybrid car. It never was like it never was a Prius. It never was like one of those cars that you would recognize like a Tesla as being some sort of hybrid car. Well, Teslas are electric, but you feel what I'm saying? Like it's not. It never became a Dodge Volt or whatever the heck those are. And so it was never a hybrid car to me. And so I thought that was weird that they called it super hybrid.
But once again, I think it is because it is a hybrid of different cars, like I think that's how they're going to get away with the title. Otherwise yeah, you're right. Like it's never it's not a super hybrid of like each different car is not because what they did in the movie, I mean, other than that title, and maybe that was changed later, maybe on another title, that they ended up changing. I don't know, but they probably changed it to super hybrid because because each scene has a different each car is different, so it has to pick a different car to transform into, and mainly and that I sort of thought was kind of cool because again it gave you that feeling of like and would have been even cooler if they did this more, where it became a thing where it would change and then it almost became a invasion of the body snatchers, where you don't know if that's the car or if that's, but I don't know, like the car
okay,
started.
so maybe
Well, go ahead.
right, maybe it's not mimic, maybe it's not maybe it's invasion of the body snatchers just with a car. I mean, that kind of was really what it was, right? Like
sort of, yeah. I mean, because you really never knew when it just kept hopping cars, or whatever, or truck or whatever it was going to hop into at that time. It didn't even matter what what kind of car it was. It just had to see it, you know. If you ever
Well, at
notice
one
that,
point
like,
it does a covered car. At one point it like tarps itself, and so
uh,
it can hide, you know. And so I was like, oh, it can do like inanimate things. Like, I know it's a car, but it can like make it like, it became like Venom, where it like was like, oh, you know, now I'll be a piece of cloth, or now I'll be a suit, or, you know, well, now I'm going to look like Spider-Man. Like, now I'm going to look like a truck. It like sort of decided that it could have cloth on it all of a sudden.
I'm wondering if the director and the writer or whatever decided to pitch this using every other movie ever made. Like, you know, this is going to be like Venom meets, you know,
Right.
meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers, meets Christine, meets Mimic, meets this, meets that. And they're like, huh,
Right.
you know what? We should call it Super Hybrid.
Super hybrid of every other movie you've ever seen and jam it into one movie, and that's why it's called super hybrid. Right. What if the Invasion of the Body Snatchers happened to Venom while he was driving Christine? You know, like the whole
during the time that he was dealing with Mimic.
That's right. During the time he was Eddie Brock was investigating the Mimic.
Oh my
so,
god!
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's very much how it felt. And then you put a bunch of teenagers, and then you put Odette Fair in there, and he is just not good. And it's sad because I said to myself, you were talking about how many days on set. I thought to myself, he's expensive. He's a known actor. You know, that guy's, you know, been around. He's done major Hollywood movies. And I'm saying to myself, he can't be super cheap. And so, you know, to have him on set, I thought, did they shoot all his scenes in like 2 days, or
maybe,
or did he get a bunch, or did they give him the script that morning? Like, how come he's not?
I swear to God, it's probably they shot every scene of his back to back to back to back, and he probably didn't have enough time to really invest in the character, which kind of sucks, you know, especially
Right.
that big of a part. Like, generally speaking, you put a name like him in the first, like, he would have probably normally been like the boyfriend or whatever. I don't even know was he a boyfriend? I don't know, because like I don't even know if he was boyfriend or brother or something.
I think he's a
You know,
boyfriend. I think he's a. That's what I mean. I think he's a low life. I think he's a low life boyfriend.
Yeah. And so like that would normally be that part of like the star, you know, because they're only in it for 5 minutes.
Like a cameo, right?
Yeah, they're
Right.
only in it for the cameo. But unfortunately, they didn't have somebody like that in that role, and they gave it the like. I mean, Odette Fair is in like more than half the movie. You know, he's in it so much of it.
But you watch him in this super hybrid, and you see the difference in the Mummy, and you know, and
no, every other movie he's been in, like where like big Hollywood movies,
right.
Also goes to wonder, like a lot of it has to do with like you said before, writing and a little bit of directing the actor, because like sometimes a director just can't give enough direction to the actor. You know, they just trust that the actor is going to be able to get it in 1 or 2 takes, you know. And the thing is, if you're not getting what you need to be getting, you need to go up to that actor and say, hey, can I, you know, can you do this? You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
But you know, you're doing a movie like Super Hybrid. You got somebody like Odette Fair on your set. I mean, like, you know, I would have thought. I guess I expected more out of him, and I don't know. That's my whole thought is that as an actor, so I'm looking at that. I'm going, you know, I have off performances. I had one this morning, and you know, I'm saying to myself, what caused that? Was it the writing? Was it him? Was it the directing? Was it the time he got with the script? Was it just the character? Was it that he did the project as a favor for his buddy? Like, you know, why was he not as powerful as he usually is?
Like, why wasn't he on his game? Yeah.
Right. As an actor, that's what I want to know. Why wasn't he sharp in that film?
Also, I do blame the writing. There was some lines I remember kind of cringing over that he said, because I thought, wow, this just doesn't sound like this should be coming out of his mouth, you know? And I didn't know, like, I'm not really a big Mummy fan. I haven't really watched many of his movies, so I don't really know him, you know, that well, like you do. You know, I know you're a fan, so like you look at that. But I was just like going, this guy does not seem like the kind of guy that would say a lot of these things, you know?
And so I blame the writing on that one, because you're right. Like a bunch of them, especially in The Office, all of a sudden he'll be like doing something, and then he'll just out of character be like, "Oh yeah, hey girl," and you're like, that does not seem correct for that. It really did. There were parts that seemed in those scenes really forced.
And it also seemed flip floppy. You know, his character went from being sort of one way to being sort of a different way in a different scene. And I don't know. I felt like he's a great actor. So it's definitely not, I don't think it's his acting, you know, that
I mean, but is that
it.
on the actor then? If he's flippy floppy, is that on the actor?
No, it's on the
Like,
writing. That is
that's on the writing?
absolutely 100% on the writing and the direction. If the director reads the script and says, okay, we're going to go with that, that's, you know, unless let me see, is the writer the director? Because if it's the same,
is it the same on that project?
Nope,
I don't know if it is.
Nope. And you know what's the worst thing is, I love Neil Marshall Stevens, who wrote it. So I can't get mad at him. He writes really good Hollywood movies. You know, he wrote 13
Which is
Ghosts.
Probably how he got out at Fair. Oh, okay, right. So 13 Ghosts is, well, he didn't write it, but he screenplayed.
Well, no, I mean, he wrote it. You know, he wrote the original screenplay for for 13 Ghosts. Yeah. With a couple other people, I think. But yeah, he was one of the writers.
Okay, well, 13 Ghosts is an old movie they remade.
Right. I'm talking about the remake.
But I don't know if it's the same. Okay, right. Yeah, the remake. I don't know about is the old 13 Ghosts the same as the new 13 Ghosts? I never saw it. I know it's William Castle, but I never saw it.
Yeah, but it's similar, I guess, but a little bit different.
It was 3D.
Oh, the original, yeah, it was 3D.
When William Castle did it, it was
yeah,
it was 3D.
I think so. But
they had ghost glasses.
Yeah. Well, then the sequel didn't do that. They didn't do any gimmicks or anything like that. And it's weird. I mean, most films don't do gimmicks anymore, you know, which I think that would be fun if they brought that back to the theaters, you know.
3D stuff.
Yeah, if they bring back what's that movie, The Tingler, you know, or whatever, and they remake that.
The Tingler.
You know,
like in Popcorn, when that's the sort of the idea of Popcorn. They bring back that kind of theater.
Right. And then, if they do that would be fun.
People get killed.
Well, let's do it without the people getting killed. But yeah, let's bring back.
Do you remember that scene? I know we're supposed to be talking about Super Hybrid, but do you remember that scene?
I do.
With the mosquito bug.
Yeah, because that movie, and there was also another movie made in the 90s called Matinee with John Goodman, and they both, you know, they both tried the William Castle bit. You know,
that's right.
John Goodman was supposed to play basically a William Castle guy, you know, in Matinee, and I love that movie.
Correct. Right.
But this, you know, but this movie, what would be the gimmick? What could you have made a gimmick out of this movie? I mean,
well,
nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything specific, because there's you know, every time the car runs or drives or whatever, you feel the wind or something of them driving by you. I don't know. I mean,
well, yeah, but that takes a lot of money to do a film like that. That takes a lot of money to you know, ramp up a film for those additional effects and those things. My kids recently saw here in LA. We have, well, as you know, probably, that we have 4D theaters. And so they're like the full experience movie theater, and they do the whole seat tilting and wind and mist and
nice,
you know, all kinds of different movement in the chair and all these things. And so, I mean, if I don't know that a movie like Super Hybrid could work that way. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. You know, I think because they saw Black Widow in 4D, and they said that was pretty exciting, but you know, compared to a movie like Black Widow with big, you know, outside effects versus a movie like Super Hybrid, that's, you know, of course, you know, we're not talking the same budgets at all. It's apples and oranges, but a movie that takes place in one room, essentially, you know,
yeah.
What do you do with it?
I don't see it becoming a 4D experience. No. We had you know, I live in Williamsburg now, Virginia, and we got Busch Gardens. And in Busch Gardens, there was like 4D adventure stories where they would have the 3D experience, but they'd also like throw water on you a little bit or something if there was like,
Right.
supposed to be like on a boat or whatever, you know what I mean? Things like that to give you like the experience that you're actually there, and everything. And I wish
Right.
more theaters would do shit like that. But
So
super hybrid,
is
I
that
don't
the
see.
next level for theater then? No, super hybrid couldn't pull
It
that off.
couldn't-
But
yeah,
is that the next level then for theaters? Is that the goal for theaters, the ultimate movie experience?
maybe. I mean, it would get to a point where VR would be the next movie experience and stuff. So
Sure,
virtual
sure.
reality, like feeling like you're actually there, with the
Right.
people and everything. And then, AR, actual reality of you actually going into the movie and having to, you ever see that movie, the Final Girls? It's a horror film. Where
No.
it's like Last Action Hero,
Yeah.
but a horror film, where they have to survive a horror film, but they're like actually in the horror film itself,
Yeah.
it's really good. It's really good. But like, could you imagine going into like super hybrid and you have to like actually not get run over by this car, and you have to
Right.
survive, or or hopefully you would get sucked back out into the real world because you wouldn't want to actually die inside the movie or whatever. But like
Well, I think there are movies where you play the game. There's movies based off the idea where you sort of play the game, and if you die in the game, you die in real life or whatever it is,
Yeah, like Gamebox 1.0, arcade. There's a ton of those things, which are actually kind of
Right.
fun. Gamer. Yeah, you're talking Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm talking indie shit.
Oh yeah. No, sorry, man.
No, that's fine. I'm used to my indie stuff, so it's really funny.
Right.
I talk to normal people.
Normal people. As I should know more indie stuff. I feel like as an actor, I feel like I really should support more indie stuff, because it's what I make.
Right.
But
well, and Tubi is great. I mean, Tubi allows you to check out movies. You just look up horror and you can find all these horror films that you probably never heard of, or you look up action adventure. You can find action adventure movies you've never heard of, because they're on Tubi. And I think that's amazing because that gives indie filmmakers the chance, and it's free,
right.
I did a sort of a question on Facebook asking people what their top 5 streaming services are that they use, and most of the time people said Tubi. A lot of times people said Tubi because it's free, and it has a lot of content that you can't get anywhere else, so I mean, I love that. Like, I absolutely 100% support Tubi, and that's almost what all of these movies are on Tubi. I'll have 31 Days of Indie Horror. I did last year with that, and I'm doing it this year like that. So I'm really
nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing how many more movies we can find on that, on the thing that are indie horror films.
Right.
If you ever need a list, just let me know. I can write you a list of indie horror.
I would like to be in one. I gotta get in one that gets on Tubi.
Right.
Be in an indie horror film. I was lined up for one, and when I moved, I had to let that part go. But
damn, that sucks.
Yeah. So and that's going to be a great movie too, and I wish them well with that project. But yeah, I had to step out of that one just because, like I said, just because location changed.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it happens.
Hopefully they get it out on Tubi.
That would be great. And I think I have another show coming out on Tubi, I was told, but I don't know when it's going to come out. But it's a show called, I think it's going to be called Unseen. I'm not sure what they're going to actually call the show, but it's about a girl who struggles with a young girl growing up, struggles with her life, and I end up playing a doctor in the show.
Nice.
So maybe I'll have some stuff on Tubi at some point.
That'd be cool. I would love that. Like I said, I support it all. I watch a lot. I'm going to be watching tonight. I'm going to be watching a movie I'm reviewing for tomorrow, unfortunately. So we didn't specify this or let people know. We were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago, as we said. You did say that we were supposed to do this a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, my laptop broke. And I would have done it with my phone, but my phone's audio is terrible, and it just wouldn't have been a really good experience, and I wanted for video to be good. So I said, do you mind, come back in like 2 weeks or so? And you were gracious enough to do that, so I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thank you. I'm always
Yeah.
appreciate when you have me on.
Yeah, definitely. So, all in all, like, would you recommend this or no?
Okay, so I said earlier I wouldn't recommend it, but after we talked about it, I would have to say for anybody, like you said, if you're on Tubi, you're looking for a film, Super Hybrid is a fun watch. I wouldn't give it much more than that.
Yeah, like you wouldn't say, "Hey, I watch it over and over and over again." Like,
No,
I don't think you'll
but
ever watch it again. Like, I
I
don't.
did see though that there was a part two, and I don't know if it either came out or if it's coming out. And when I'm
What?
watching this movie, yeah, there's a Super Hybrid two. And when I thought to myself, if this thing can be cars, then can it be planes? Can it be boats? So I'm assuming it becomes like in Tremors. You know how the graboid like changes like later on, like oh well, graboids can fly now, and oh you didn't know there were these, and so I wonder if Super Hybrid can do the same thing.
Where did you see that on? I want to know.
When when I
Where?
googled something about, I just googled Tubi or Super Hybrid, and it just googled it, I think, and then it said Super Hybrid 2 like in the works, or who wants it, or something like that. I don't know, something to
Um,
that. I'm not exactly sure what it said on that.
Hold on, let me find out real quick because I guarantee you I could find out if this. Hold on. See. Let's see.
In my
Um.
head, the video.
Whoa! It says this movie was made in 2010. Really?
Yeah, it's older, I guess. I mean, I thought it was like a movie you were like, oh yeah, about.
I thought it was newer than it was. Actually, for it being 2010, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah,
Um,
it actually still seems like it was just made. That's true.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see anything about a sequel, but I
Well,
don't
then maybe I
doubt
made
you.
that up.
No, I don't think you did. I
Uh,
bet there is a sequel. I just didn't see anything specifically for it. But maybe there
if
is because
if the
if
audience knows, let us know.
right, and if it's on Tubi, now, and everything, maybe there's some more interest in it again. You know.
That's the thing. Maybe and that happens to a lot of films. I would love that if some of my stuff came back up, got popular. That's always good for actors.
I have a movie that's out and called Scary Story Slumber Party. Not trying to plug my own shit, but
I
it
love it though.
was on Plex TV, I guess. And I don't know. I don't know if somebody like promoted it or whatever, but all of a sudden today and yesterday, there's been a surge of people checking out the or liking the Facebook page for it, and
Nice.
I'm just like, what, like, why now? Like, I don't know. And I mean, it might also be because it's getting close to Halloween time and people like to look up things called scary and it's called Scary Story, like maybe that's a
Right.
big thing of it, but I don't know. It was just like all of a sudden, the surge of likes and I was like, okay, I'll take it,
Right.
like I'm not
Very
gonna,
cool.
people I don't know at all. Some were foreign too, so I have no idea if maybe foreign territories are getting it either. I have no idea, but once again, I'll take it.
Well, but as a filmmaker, that's what it's got to be. We got to got to get it out there. Got to let people see it. And
Yeah,
hopefully they're not all people we know.
yeah. I mean, I do like that. I like when I get new fans or new people checking the stuff out, even if they're not fans. Like I'm all for people telling me my shit sucks if they think so. If they really believe that.
Sure.
Because people giving me reviews and telling me that that they didn't like what I did. Most of the time, I'm harsher on them than they probably are because I'm like, I know what I wanted to make as opposed to what I did make. That's probably also a little bit with super hybrid. Maybe they had this great idea. Maybe the script was a lot better. And then when they got to day of shooting, they had to change a lot of things because it didn't work out. Like maybe the car wasn't starting on that day. So they had to go and change the time where they did some dialogue and they had to change the dialogue to make it work with the car not working or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
just indie filmmaking, you can't ever look at it like, oh man, it's the finished product is, exactly what the people probably were trying to make. It's most likely not, but they take what they can and they make what they can make with it and then they put it out it's out, it's available, and it's not that terrible. Like it's a fun, enjoyable movie. I just, like I said, it's some movies you can watch over and over again and not get sick of. I mean, this movie, I all I need to do is watch it once, because like there's nothing, I this is no Suicide Squad. I just watched that. Right. I watched that twice already,
Really?
So,
Wow.
yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but it's
No,
really
no,
good.
no.
Oh,
No, I was too busy watching indie movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. Maybe you are,
No. You know what? I've been watching the Olympics, and other than that, I haven't been watching too much. As an actor, I don't watch a lot anymore. Because I just find myself comparing myself.
Oh, okay. I would have thought that you're just too busy. Yeah, as an actor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what? I make time for video games. Let's say that.
Video games are pretty good to, like, concentrate on something like else, or whatever.
Right. And that's what it is. It's
a distraction.
It's a break from the memorization. It's a break from the emotions. It's a break from the feeling. It's that for me, for sure, as an actor,
And I get it with the watching actings. You start comparing to different things, or like saying, "Oh man, I could have done that better," which is which is a thing where a lot of actors kind of probably feel at times, because they look at it and they go, "Oh man, why did they do that?" Like that. I you know what I mean? And I do that as a filmmaker or a writer. I'll be like, "Oh man, why did they write this?" Like, they could have wrote this a lot better. If they gave me that script, I probably would have. And you know what? I might not have done the same thing, because who knows why this was the way it was. Might have been
right.
producers sticking their heads into things. Might have been, like I said, disruptions during production, things happening. You just don't know. And you can't, as an indie filmmaker, you can't ever count that what you see on the page is what's going to be 100% on the screen, and I think a lot of people have to realize that. So all in all, I do recommend watching this once. So at least just try it out, and maybe you like it. Maybe people like it and want to watch it more than once. I don't know. I suggest
maybe they do.
Once. Maybe they do. But you and me,
right.
I think we both agree that we've seen it once, and that's enough. And Oded Fair probably needed another job, after that.
What though? In fairness, I've seen the movies I'm in once.
No pun intended. In fairness, Oded Fair.
In Oded Fairness, I've only watched the movies I'm in once.
Oh Lord.
It's true though. Because I watch my movie and I go, "Oh my God, I hate it. I'm terrible. Can't even use that in my reel." And then I leave, go on to my next movie.
A friend of mine told me she does that. Well, she's only acted in one thing. Well, no, a couple things so far now. But like when she did the first project with me, she was just like, watched it. I'm never going to watch it. Like, I'm just not going to watch myself, because she doesn't want to see herself on the screen, and she's too worried, and I'm like, you did wonderful, but she doesn't want to hear it, because
I'll tell you what, right. Okay. So if people go, "Oh my God, that was amazing," I was like, "Oh, I hated it. I was terrible." And if people go, "Oh, that wasn't that good," those are the clips that I thought I really brought it on.
Oh, wow.
Those are the clips that I thought, like, "Oh man, I was so good in that." And then my wife will say, like, "Jay, that I wouldn't share that one. It's not one of your better ones." And then on the one I was like, "Oh God, I didn't even want to do that." And then this guy runs up to me. He's like, "Dude, that was your best thing ever." So so that's part of why I don't like to watch my own stuff, really, is because I seem to misjudge my own performances.
Well, I mean, I think you're a little too close to it too, or whatever, you know what I mean? Period. And I think that, that can be a problem when you make a movie, is that you're just a little too close to what you're doing. Whether it be an actor like you, or like a director or filmmaker like myself, I get too close. I do like to watch my stuff, mainly because, as a director, you talk to editor and you try to fix things to make it work, the best way that you can, and then sometimes you look at the stuff,
Yeah.
like I said, you look at stuff, like if anybody makes fun and, says they don't like my movie, Scary Story Slumber Party, I laugh at them and go, okay, like there's some things I'm not proud of in that movie, but all in all, I'm proud I made a fucking movie, and I'm proud they made this movie, because to make a movie in itself is a big deal. So I never once, even if we're on Indie Film Cafe and we're rating a movie and saying it's terrible, stinky, bad, we usually like that. We usually, because they tried to make an entertaining movie. As long as it's entertaining, I'll watch it and be happy with it. And this movie was entertaining.
You're right. It was entertaining. It entertained me. I watched it all the way through. It was a fine watch. And like you said, I applaud anybody for making a film, getting out there, trying to do it. I'm not the greatest there's ever been, and so I can't say anything. But I really like the fact that people got out there, made a movie. Good for them.
All right. Well, this will be out in October.
Okay.
It's 31 days of indie horror, so 31 days in October. So I guess you can't really promote much of what you're doing because, like, in October,
no, probably not.
But hopefully by October, true, really. You'll have a lot of shit going on. So everybody can just
thank you,
and IMDb you, and they'll probably
Google me, right?
Google you, which I think
Jason Zlatkus.
Yeah, I think that sounds really kind of creepy to Google people, but that's
Google
what you have to do
as an actor. You got to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. Do you have a website or anything?
I don't. Just the Facebook and I do Instagram at Jason Z the actor, and on Google, like you said, Google Jason Zlatkus, Zlatkus.
Maybe by October you'll have a website. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't have a whole lot of interest in building one, but if actors have it, then you got to have it. It would depend on what my manager said to do. If they said do a website, then I probably would.
Yeah, that's probably the best idea is to listen to your managers.
There it is, right?
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for this. Stick around.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, thank you guys for checking this out. Join us tomorrow for another 31 days of indie horror. Bye, everybody.